third grade. This is what we're going to go for as far as for shading. This is where I left off on the last video. Like I said, I was going to make it a little shorter, and maybe I would be able to save it because I was having such trouble saving videos. The last 2 days I've tried to make this video. So I've got my knuckles, I've got my contour line, the outside shape was just the contour, I got the basic composition. And now what I'm going to do is try and demonstrate to you the shading. You notice my pencil's not very sharp, it's somewhat dull, and I'm going to lay it on its side and create some value by using what's called hatching. I'm just going to be moving my pencil up and down, somewhat in a diagonal motion, so I can start showing the curvilinear of the cylinder, which is the finger. The finger is a cylinder. It's round, it's a form. When we just draw it with a pencil, it's flat and it's just a shape. But what we're trying to do with showing value and shading is to show form, to show 3-dimension. So far, it's already starting to pop up off the paper, almost like the optical illusion that we did when we did the op art by using the curved lines. So what I'm doing by creating that shadow on the side is creating almost a curved feel. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to create a cross hatching, which I'm going the opposite direction with my shading, with blending with my pencil, and creating just a little more line out into the center, which is going to again give it a little more of the feeling of this roundness. And I'm doing this very lightly. I'm not pushing down hard at all. It's very light pressure, because if I push too hard, I can get too dark too quick, or I'll scratch my paper, which makes what's called an embossing into the paper. And then when you go to erase, you're going to have these white areas that you don't really want, and it's basically scratching the paper. This paper can be pushed into or embossed. And embossing means that it raises up an area and lowers an area, becomes somewhat concaved. A lot of different terms there, Mr. Rifle, but it's the concept basically. I'm going to go up on my nails here a little bit on my thumb. Okay, so I've got basically some graphite now on my paper, and that will allow me to blend it with either my blending stump or I can use a Q-tip, because I think I'll probably have you guys use Q-tips just for economic sake and I don't lose my shading stumps to you. When you get in 4th and 5th grade, I like to have the kids actually use a shading stump. And you've probably seen one of these when you've bought some pencil kits. Notice I took my shading stump and I went on the opposite side here and gave it a little value too, just not as much, keeping it a little lighter. And we've already done our value scale. We've gone from white to black. I don't really have a black there yet on my paper, because this black here is not as black as my actual hand, but we're going to go for the rest of the blending here. I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible so I can save this video before it doesn't want to save. Get the concept across. But you can see that value, you can see the lightness, especially down the center of the finger. We want to keep this much lighter, but on the edges we can go with a little darker value. And then we can always come back in with our eraser if we get it too dark, or come back in with our pencil and make it darker. If we want to make, say, this area here much darker, then I would just give it a little more pressure with my pencil, not the point, but the side of my pencil, to give it some more value, to create a little more contrast, which contrast means that it pops out from where the white is to the dark. That's a contrast. It's contrasting. Colors can be contrasting, like this green is contrasting from the white right now. It stands out from the white. Okay guys, that's basically the shading and the value.